Hi, my name is Nick LaRoe, and Lou asked me to talk a little bit about my experiences in prayer. Hopefully, what I'll share here will be helpful for people, and maybe some of my experiences will have been your experiences. So, there were three things I was going to talk about. The first was a sense of kind of financial security and peace that I have about God's provision for me and for my wife and I, and that really grew out of my experience in graduate school. So when I moved from Minnesota. I just graduated college to Arizona State. For graduate school, I found out I was going to be a father. And so I had to provide for a son while also being a graduate student. And, we get paid about $14,000 a year as graduate students, and that's certainly not enough. So there I was literally out in the desert, and God would keep on coming through with a summer fellowship or a good night at work. I waited tables during graduate school. Or there was a family that would offer to pay for some of my flights home so that I could go home on the holidays and see my son. And there was always just some way I was provided for. So for over time, God provided and provided and provided for me out in the desert, and I learned to really trust that. And so I think I have a pretty good um, sense of peace about financial security. That just came from long experience for God coming through for me time and time again. When I really needed it. The second one was a change in my character that came from kind of really butting my head up against Romans 8, 28, talking about God working all things for the good. And so early on, like most people, in a new marriage, you go through some ups and downs and stuff like that, and it can be a little bit bumpy, pretty common experience. And so I was kind of turning this over and over. And the way that I wanted to read it was that God was going to solve my problems and take away any inconveniences. And my understanding is that's not really how the verse works. It's just about kind of your eternal security. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say that my reaction to that was kind of, that's it. That's all. You're not going to solve my problems for me. I wanted some sort of guarantee about this. But as I kind of, sat with that and sat with that and sat with that, eventually my character changed where I became really grateful for that fact. And my earthly troubles, seemed less and less of a unbearable burden. So I really kind of grew in my faith, and I had a much better perspective there. And oh, by the way, things of course got better with any earthly challenges that I had at the same time. And so I went from being kind of very ungrateful for that good promise to being more grateful for it. And of course, God gave more than just that. He helped me out with some of the challenges I was having. Last one comes, and I'll be a little bit vaguer here with, a challenge that I faced that there's really nothing that I can do. It's really not a willpower thing. It's not an effort thing. And try as I might to try to kind of solve the problem on my own, I really can't. And so one of the things I learned about that is the ask, seek, knock, about really being persistent and really battling in prayer. And I really hadn't had an experience of, really, really fighting and kind of grinding in prayer before. But it was the only thing I could do. Like I said, there was nothing I could do to solve this or make this better on my own. The only thing I had was just really, really persistent fighting and kind of like Jacob, grappling with God in prayer and saying, please, 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 until I started to see things change. And like I said, there was nothing I could do to change it, but I could see God changing things. And so I learned that, that there really is, in some cases you have to pray and pray and pray without ceasing and never give up. And really, really get after it, not just offer a prayer here and there, but, really, really fight in prayer. And that's something that I learned. And so I'm grateful for that lesson too. So those are the three of the things that I wanted to share. Hopefully you'll find those, uplifting, or maybe you've had similar experiences, but that's what I've got to share with you all.